we call it now the community art auction, because although it's a benefit for Works, 50% can go to the artists as well. So we have the call out for that. If you're a visual artist, just go to our website. I think emails are going out on that all over the place. So we're bringing in art before First Friday, March, when it opens up 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. First Friday, March. So come and see us. Right over there, as soon as you can get up here, is Rob Pesich. Oh, by the way, I'm Joe. Yeah, so yeah. From Work San Jose, and I'm now going to give to you the president. Yeah, no, I've got to go and press got it. That's my computer there that has that. Nobody's at it at the moment. But anyways, I'm going to give to you now the president of Poetry Center San Jose, Mr. Rob Pesich, in a jacket.
Oh, thanks, Joe. It's stressful. Please give a round of applause for Joe and Works. Thanks for featuring this program. Thank you all for coming tonight. We've got a packed show, no open mic. I'm sorry. Come back next month for the open mic, when we're going to have featured Lorenz Maison de Muc, and he, in combination with Los Lorcas, a musical group out of Vermont. And we've got a lot of great readers tonight, of course. And if you want to follow us, watch us on Facebook, visit our website, www.pcsj. Upcoming events, just look at the website. We've got coming back specifically Poets at Play workshop featuring our very own poet laureate emeritus David Perez, who's going to be instructing. This is going to be at 1650 Center Road at Markham House. That's on the 24th of this month. It's free, 1 o'clock, and hope to see you there. If you've got any questions about it, see me. All right. Now, I want to bring to the mic Ken Weisner.
Well, PCSJ and Works, they work so hard to get us all here. And I'm learning more about that each year. And so I just really can't express how wonderful they are, because they also work outside of this, and then they come here and work some more. So thank you, Joe, and thank you, Rob. Rob looks so good because he came from work. It's the jacket's not for us. And Joe, happy anti-Valentine's Day Eve. I want to thank so many people. I'm just going to do a couple thanks, and then we're going to move right forward. So I want to thank some people. Rose Black, who's not here tonight. She has COVID. Diana Argabright, who often turns us on to the great artists we use, at least half of the artists I found through the UFRAT Museum. Grace Lee, who I think is here all the way from China. I didn't see her there, but if she is there, it's because she's at the Chinese New Year visiting with family, and she still wants to be here. So I think it's tomorrow there. Also Margaux Guiheneuc, who's all the way in Oaxaca, all these people who are contributing editors to the journal. Our prize screeners are here, who read 1,500 poems every summer to do our prize, yay. And also the exceptional Ellen Bass is here, who will be announcing the winners of our prize and finalists, which is an annual prize. Our cover and art designer, Kathleen Roberts. If she's not here, I hope she hears this later and looks at it. People who really make the team that do this once a year. Mostly all our contributors, and so many of my students who are here tonight pitching in, and some will be introducing you. And then to our audience, the community that's here. And finally to De Anza College, which has supported this enterprise for 50 years and hopefully at least a couple more. Reminder to all you brilliant poets and presenters tonight, as a reward for being so brilliant, you're only allowed to read one poem. I'm going on a little longer than I said I would on the schedule, because people on the East Coast are reporting the flu, laryngitis, COVID. So we have a few minutes, and I took 2 of them here. Steve Casisto and Andrew Gent can't be here tonight because of that. Claudia Meléndez Salinas is here from Mexico in Zoom after an emergency family trip. I'm just very moved by that. Dedicated. And is Evie here to introduce her? Yes, great. So that's really fun. She's here. And Rose, who will see this maybe right now on YouTube, I hope her health allows her to at least watch the reading. I hope everyone is settled in with your copy of. I hope everyone is settled in with their copy of the book. Someone may be in Zoom in here. You can't do that because it'll echo. So if you're accidentally in Zoom.
You can be on Zoom, but you cannot have your speaker on.
Aha, you can't have your speaker on. I already did that once, so. I seldom say this, but when you get home, it's a very readable book this year. So when you get home, just start reading from the beginning. It's unusual for me to say this and feel it. It's a very moving volume this time, full of the richness of our pain and aging, some of us anyway, and the struggling, suffering, resilient world, but also playfulness, beauty, joy, love, diversity. So my profound, but my word this year is to read the book straight through. Try it. One secret regarding that means you have to buy the book. So Daryl's back there selling the book, and you could download it from our De Anza website. I'll put that website in the chat. So the PDF is there. The art always is what really makes this magazine, and we've been really lucky once again this year, thanks to Diana and other contacts I love making during the year, to find such amazing artists to join us and to be printed in the book. I learned so much about Bay Area artists talking to Diana. So go to the UFRAT on De Anza campus this year to see a great museum that's part of a community college, which is unusual and fantastic. I'm just going to introduce our first artist. Is Nimah here? Yay. So one of our cover artists, Nimah Gobir, is an inspiring, am I pronouncing that correctly? Yay, is an inspiring and unforgettable painter. And I will share her work if she says a few words about it. An installation artist, she's on the back cover of your book if you have it to look there. Completed her undergraduate studies at Chapman with a BFA in studio art and a BA in peace studies. Has a master's in education from Harvard, focus in arts and education, has shown her work at the Museum of the African Diaspora, at South of Market Arts, the Growlery and Brute Division, where she was awarded the Blaugold Studio Teaching Fellowship. She's represented by Johansson Projects. And Nimah, I know in your painting you often draw on photos collected from family and personal archives. Thank you for contributing your gorgeously colorful and joyful paintings to this year's Red Wheelbarrow. Nimah's portfolio is on pages 29 to 38. And thank you for being here with us tonight. Nimah?
Hello. I'm not quite sure how long I should be speaking, so you can play the music to scoot me off. My name is Nimah. I'm an artist based in Oakland, California. I am mostly a painter, but work a lot with thread and fabric. And it's because a lot of the work that I do has to do with family, intimate spaces. I work a lot on homes because I moved so much as a young person. And so each of the homes seems to have their personality. And then also living in the Bay Area now, I'm sure you all know prices are rising and the idea of home can feel like it's in flux a lot. So, oh yeah, I'm like seeing people's eyes go up and I'm wondering. So you can see my work in Oakland. I have a show opening at Johansson Projects actually in 2 weeks called Minted Tinted. And there's a reception on March 2nd if you're wanting to see more paintings. And I'll continue to show around the Bay Area and would love to see you at more shows in the future. So thanks for seeing the work. Thank you for including me in the publication, one of the first publications I've been included in. So it's very cool and such a big honor. Thank you so much. Yeah, a lot of a lot of the works like this one have fabric sewn into them. So those patterns that seem too real to be painted are in fact not painted. Thank you very much.
Other people will do most of the introducing, but I'm introducing the first two speakers tonight. By the way, this one's called Free Donut. It was one of our staff favorites, I think. So thank you so much for being here and for being in the magazine. I hope we can talk later and you get your free copies. Our front cover artist, Kristin Lindseth, maybe she'll put her piece up on the card table if she dares. I think it's solid. She brought a sculpture with her, whose portfolio in the book, watercolors and bronze sculptures, focus on international refugee crisis along with universal themes, on page 54 to 64 of the magazine. Kristin is an internationally exhibiting sculptor, painter, printmaker, who is also teacher of drawing, sculpture, and digital art in the South Bay colleges since 2005. Kristin's work has been represented in over 200 exhibitions, regionally, nationally, and internationally, including in 7 solo exhibitions throughout the Western United States. So thank you, Kristin, for allowing us the chance to glimpse and marvel at your moving work in this year's Red Wheelbarrow, and welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for including me in this publication. It's such an honor to be among all of you poets and other artists. I have been focused on the international refugee crisis since 2011. This represents Europe. This represents going back historically to the Holocaust, when entire towns and villages were emptied of people, and they had to find new homes. So I'm working on a sculpture there, putting a patina on, use heat and chemicals. So you got heat in one, propane torch in one hand, chemicals in the other. And it's a fun process. Been doing since 2011, focused on the refugee crisis when it started in Haiti with the earthquake and tsunami. And I saw pictures of long lines of people waiting for water and food. They just snaked around the country. They just seemed to go on forever. And then cholera broke out. And so that was the next, how many years is it now? Then we had South Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, worst humanitarian crisis in the world. So I made buildings that the historic architecture that was being lost. I wanted to make some of that in bronze. And this is Yemen, Old Marib, and it's being bombed to oblivion. And then the paintings, I realized I could get a lot more information about a lot of the different parts of the world that are affected. If I did paintings, this represents Vietnam, and people came on boats, and I went to the Vietnamese museum in Center Park to get drawings of the boats for this. And so now we have Gaza, and this is one of the biggest refugee camps. It was one of the biggest in the world, Dadaab, and this is the Greece Macedonia border. I wanted to show conditions that people have to get through to get to safety, while walking across deserts in the heat, lugging water, walking through snow, and living in tents in snow now in Rafah, which is bronze sculptures. I'm primarily a sculptor, but also a painter. This is called Arrival, the idea that there would be help when people arrive. So that's my reason for the whole, for the work, is to shine a light on the parts of the world that are ignored by US newspapers largely. If you listen to international news, you hear about them, but not so much in the US news. So that's why I focused on, here we have Syria, the Bedouin who lost their homes, lost their goats, lost everything. Um, and I envisioned the sand blowing through the empty houses. So thank you. Thank you for.
Is not here. Stephen Casisto is not here this evening. Although I think it makes sense to read just one of his poems. Is Jennifer Hernandez here? Okay. No. So I'll introduce the next person then. Sisto has the flu and lives around the world somewhere far like Syracuse, New York. It has its own very serious distance from the world. But I'll read his little poem on page 13. He says, I take a bird as counsel, say to my dead father, life was given us so we will sing. Come closer, he says. The snow journeys straight through us. That's the whole poem. So he has 4 short poems in the volume, and I really wish he was here to share them, but he is ill tonight and an East Coaster. So for them, it's like well after 10 o'clock and they can't do it. So I'd like to thank our artists, and our next reader is Adela Najarro, whose extended family emigrated from Nicaragua and is the author of 4 poetry collections, Split Geography, Twice Told Over, My Children's, and Volcanic Interruptions. Letras Latinas has selected Variations in Blue for publication in 2025 through Red Hen Press, and that's a big deal. So we're so happy to welcome Adela Najarro.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for being here. How nice. Yes, so I'm going to read my poem, which is on page 19, Juanita Falls. Juanita falls. In her own home, her feet slip out from under. A slow fall in the kitchen. I'm all right, she says on the phone. Her spirit is ready to flee as her body fails and falls, but she's still here. And I want her stories. I want her not to end. With her brothers at the beach, life began by falling onto sand. The next time she fell, it was off a horse. She tried to hold on. Rising into sky, she lingered next to a leaf, then fell, breaking her clavicle, bumping her head. She left Managua. She took a seat on a Pan Am flight before she softly fell asleep. She carried our souls in her baggage. My brother tucked in a lace bra. I was a bookmark in a poem she read falling through sky. When she awoke, her tongue twisted broken rhymes about cocodrilos in a river, a tortilla with not enough. She fell into a new country. My father caught her, but let go. She gave him her body, menstrual blood, and babies. With its touch, She fell apart, then back together. We climbed into a station wagon loaded with sweaters and boxes. She drove through Tejon Pass, finally falling into herself. In Pico Rivera, Downey, Cerritos, Torrance, she stood behind a beautician's chair, cutting hair and pinning curls. She fell back to sand, beach bonfires, laughter with their children, and a new husband. Her bones never broke. Looping backward, her head craving rich, moist earth, Juanita falls through time. Thank you.
Thank you, Adela. Hello, everyone. I'm Calvin Hill, a poetry student at De Anza College, and I am pleased to introduce to you Frances Hatfield, an award-winning poet and a Jungian analyst in private practice in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Her book of poems, Rudiments of Flight, Wings Press 2013, won the Gradiva Poetry Award from the National Association for the Advancement of Psychoanalysis. Welcome, Frances, who is joining us in Zoom.
Hello. I want to read a poem for you called Bee. One hot dusk, you found a bee, cinnamon colored, resting on the kitchen screen door. So you stopped yourself from slamming it and let it rest there, wondering where it came from and where it was going. Feeling good about yourself for helping one small life hang on a little longer. But the sound the door would have made echoes in you. A what if, an almost. And then you cried, thinking your gesture meant nothing because the bee was dying anyway, like all of them are, like everything is. And then you were crying for yourself too, for everyone you'd failed, for all the doors you slammed and slammed again hard, for the leaving you did, trying not to be left, down to the smallest gesture, echoing down the years, looking away from your baby, afraid she did not love you, like your mother did to you, like her mother did to her. And you went on crying for a long time, a river, and then a flood of plain, hard grief, washing away your excuses and all the places you've tried to hide, dislodging the boulders of shame, the mental prisons and the guards with their clubs and goads. You sat on the kitchen floor and cried out all the rivers in your body and all the salty seas, while the bee listened quietly, like a priest hearing confession. And when the waters subsided, you rested, you and the bee, marveling at the beneficence of air, clinging to your net of falling light. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Francis, for that wonderful reading. Can everyone hear me over there? Hi, I am Grace Lee. I'm the assistant editor to Ken for Red Wheelbarrow. And our next reader is Carolyn Oliver, who is the author of several books, including the Alcestis Machine from Acre Books, forthcoming this year. She lives in Massachusetts, where she is a 2023 to 2024 artist in residence at Mount Auburn Cemetery. She was a Red Wheelbarrow Prize semifinalist this year, and we are so glad Carolyn is with us to read tonight. So please welcome Carolyn Oliver.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Ken. It's a real pleasure to be with you tonight from the East Coast, where it is dark and a little snowy. The poem I'm going to read is called To Frank, Our Gallant Goldfish, Dead These 30 Years. Regarding preservation, how much is aimless? How much meant for later use? Things put up or tucked away, salt-packed for the dark to save? Wedding quilts and green tomatoes, things in jars, tongues on tape, Shackleton's Antarctic whiskey crates. Bog people, to complicate the case, those leather body bags with half-shorn heads that Pete refuses to digest. I've been pickling in these mysteries, Frank. The brine of other lives. Seems every room's a root cellar, each ladder splintered memories I feel obliged to climb. Do you recall a time before you knew of slotted spoons and gravel Pepto Pink? Before the greasy view from your glass hexagon gutted of red rose tea? Could you remember lilacs, Frank? How they were overcome with snow that spring? Beneath their fragile boughs, we marked your resting place and read the solemn rites. Perhaps you've learned our ardent care, in fish flake form, led straight to your demise? Because we held back then concrete beliefs about respect and coffinry, we laid your corpse in styrofoam, a box for salad, a la pizzazz, provolone and iceberg, a single clownish pepperoni. And so for years, I thought your gracile bones were ours for finding, deep below the treehouse shade. But now my brother says there's nothing left. I should revise. Imagine you as meat for neighbor cats, your casket with clementine scale smudge clinging, less artifact than roadside nuisance, carted off by tiny truck to transfer station, and thence crushed between a lost retainer and a seedy jewel case, Eve 6 split, ditched on a landfill's working face, whose lid of earth is watered down each day to sink what we preserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Hello, my name is Vianney Cruz. I'm a poetry student at Dianza College, and I'm going to introduce Claudia Meléndez Salinas, an indigenous Mexican Chicana living in Salinas, California. She is a co-founder of Voices of Monterey Bay, a bilingual online news magazine. Her poems have been published in Journal X, Latino Literature's La Raíz magazine, and her poem Transitioning was the recipient of the 2022 Red Wheelbarrow Poetry Award. Thank you for the great pleasure of introducing you, and we look forward to hearing your poem.
Good evening, everyone. I'm joining you all from Puebla, Mexico, which is my birthplace, from the kitchen of the house that my parents built. I was hoping, I'm thankful to Ken and Rob and everyone, the students of the Dianza College, for this opportunity. We suffer a death in the family. That's why I had to travel and I can't be with you there. But poetry's always been so healing to me. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity. I'm going to read tonight a poem that is in these years well read. And I don't remember the page, but it's called Winter Solstice and it's dedicated to my husband, Victor. And if I cry, I always say that, just forgive me. On our way to the airport, we'll listen to the horns and the drums that barely drown the roar of hurried drivers zipping by. Ya se va el manicero, ya se va. I dance on the seat, a soft shoulder sway, left, right, the sensual filling the space that's waiting for us, but dare not enter. It will be a short trip, he finally says. I bite my lip and resist the urge to snap. That's what you always say. Instead, I stare into the road, a crowded pre-holiday Silicon Valley madness of Teslas sleeping by, cutting in front of big rigs. A no-no, my uncle, the truck driver, will rage, white-knuckling the semi's steering wheel. Storm clouds close in on our way, mocking me, knowing that I will have to drive back alone in the rain again. This is what you get, I tell myself, for partnering with a heart firmly planted 2,000 miles beyond the border fence. But since he's known the other woman far longer than he's known you, since birth, in fact, can you blame him? The time will be brief, I tell myself, as I watch him disappear among the throngs of travelers, ready for their yearly fix of softer winds, rolling R's, otherworldly food, and bucket loads of extemporaneous hugs. Time will fly, shadows will live longer, spring eventually returns, I tell myself, as I look for the horns and the drums in the glove compartment, a futile attempt to rest the cold hand tightening its grip in my heart. But the horns and the drums also long for softer winds, for kinder beats, so they sneak into a backpack and stow away 2,000 miles beyond the border fence. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your wonderful reading, Claudia. So as I believe Ken said, our one of our contributors, Andrew Gent, couldn't make it tonight. But don't miss Andrew's translation of Fernand Dumont's long poem about his imprisonment during World War II on pages 70 to 77. It's called Liberty. So we have two featured translations in this issue that we were very excited to present. And so our next distinguished translators are Sonia Alland and Richard Jeffrey Newman. Sonia translates from French and Catalan. She has translated the poet Salvador Espriu in collaboration with Richard and co-translated one of Espriu's plays, Antigone, into French. Richard Jeffrey Newman has published 3 books of poetry and co-translated 3 books of classical Persian poetry. He is professor of English at Nassau Community College. You'll find their translations of Salvador Espriu starting on page 78 of our new issue. So welcome, Sonia and Richard.
Thank you, Grace, and thank you, Ken, for taking these poems, and thank you all for being here. So we're going to be reading some work by the Catalan poet Salvador Espriu. I'll read mostly in English, but Sonia is going to read one poem in Catalan. And Salvador Espriu was an icon of Catalan culture. He wrote in defense of his language and culture during the dark years under Franco. What we're going to read is from one of his books called The Skin of the Bull. Number 1. The bull in the arena of Separad charges the spread out skin and flicks it into the air, a flag. Against the wind, this skin of a bull covered in blood is now a rag thickened by the sun, forever delivered to the martyr of time, our prayer and our curse. Simultaneously, victim and executioner, hatred, love, lament, and laughter under the closed eternity of the sky.
I'm going to continue with number 21 from the Skin of the Bull. I'd like to read it in Catalan first to give you a sense of the original language, and then Richard will read our translation in English. Molins de sefarad est vindran els somnis a poc reals. Moli de ben, moli de sang. Cal moldre fins els ossos perquè tinguem bon pa. Passem per les paraules tot el por de l'esclai ens pujaran mots fràgils a nova claredat.
Mills of Sepharad will become dreams, little by little real. Windmills, blood mills, we must mill until the bone to make good bread. Let us descend with language deep into the well of horror. Fragile words will rise with us into a new clarity. And this is number 46. Sometimes it is required that a man die for his people, but an entire people should never die for one man alone. Always remember this, Sepharad. Make sure the bridges of dialogue are secure and look to understand and love the diverse reasoning and voices of your children. Let the rain fall slowly on the sown land and the air pass like a widespread hand, soft and benign on the wide fields. Let Sepharad live forever in order and in peace, in work and in the difficult and deserved freedom.
And we're going to finish with this last poem, number 54. We wish only with humble hope the eternal plenitude of the rose, a supreme entity of flower. While the houses of the night close one by one, and the darkness deepens until the light of day, our eyes learn from the most sensitive fingers of the blind to look and to know, to understand with slow love. Thus we have traversed the rivers and the mountains, the dry plateaus and the cities, and we sleep the dreams of our people. We have been with the wind, in the fields, in the woods, in the murmuring of leaves and of fountains, and are writing on this skin spread out before us, on this hidden and immortal heart, little by little, the name of Sepharad. Thank you for listening to these poems by this great Catalan poet. Esprio.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rose Black is our next reader. By the way, that was just magnificent hearing the Catalan read aloud. I would love to hear more of that, but there's no time. So since Rose Black can't be here, she has COVID. She went to what's called the Associated Writing Programs conference, and then she was, through her misery, she was laughing a bit, saying, well, I guess I asked for it, because it's one of those conferences where no one wears a mask yet. So Rose is an incredible person who is a well-published poet who also has continued to correspond and mentor incarcerated poets. and was a leading member of a group that actually Ellen Bass, who's our next speaker, began when she was poet laureate of Santa Cruz County. She began to encourage writers to work in the jails and prisons. And then I had worked with Rose at Salinas Valley State Prison. And we, for many, many years, would go in with a group of 4 people. And a psychiatrist there, Ben Block, had created that program from inside. So Rose has continued, even though she stopped going in, to mentor incarcerated writers. And I'll, in her honor, and because it's so important, I think, in the magazine, I'll read at least one poem from that that section of the book. And she has Right to Write Press, which she's on the board. She has done a book for this particular poet, Ubaldo Teque Jr. And we've done books for a few of the most amazing incarcerated writers. This is a book, a poem by Ubaldo Teque Jr., who's no longer incarcerated at Salinas Valley. So her correspondences now include, the inmates are often moved around to different prisons. Most of you probably know that. So she's managed to stay in touch with some of the best writers, and they send her their work. The Lower Bottoms by Ubaldo Teque Jr. For Modesto Amador and Fernie J. Chavira, resting in peace. 1. Where I'm from, the streets are numbered north to south. Loaded firearms, shotguns, and assault rifles reign. Play at your own risk plays in the background. The wire rims sit on white wall tires, decorating the 2-door primed Cutlass lowrider full of bullet holes. Tattoos cover grief. Mamita swears that LA is better than Guate. I hate holidays. All my family is far away in San Lucas, dancing around the Volcan de Agua. 2. Like this. As a child, the gangsters smiled and patted me on the head. They look buzz. Cruel tongues always speak of disrespect. The city is rotten in drugs. He died, she passed away. How old? I won't deny it. I sold them and used them too. My American dream used to be green. Counting years slowly, I learned the hard way. Before Fernie died, he sported a blue LA Dodger cap. I think of us a lot, and in my sleep, I hear him say, Carnalito, it's gonna be all right. He's dangling, every hour unlocks. I can't open any door. Modesto passed away 3 years ago. My heart stopped beating in here or back in the City of Angels under the avocado tree, corner of 39th and Grand Avenue. So I'd also like to just share here, so you and our Zoom readers can see it, some of the work that by the poet and artist Jessica Dayna Patterson, who's undergone sex change, and she now is still in Salinas Valley State Prison. There are many transgender inmates. This is a piece of hers called Starry Night Sky. She does these in pen, and she calls it black tattoo ink. Really show you a larger view. Worth it. Starry Night Sky. Here is called 1959 Prison Timepiece. Very elaborate. You can see these works on page 131. Pen and Black Tattoo Ink, Mystical Women, Riot of Prison Rain. And what Garza has done is to create both writing and art about these events. So you can read about the images in the magazine in order to understand them better from her point of view. And I know if Rose were here, she'd read some of those. But I can't pretend to know how she would do that, and I'm not going to try. But with this image here, you know, for example, Garza writes, 1959 prison timepiece. Black tattooed ink is reminiscent of the 1959 city vice I was advised against, and the bets as a scapegoat I lost that cost my freedom. Late nights of syncopated jazz, beats in back alleys were dark smoke-filled pool halls that called to the young, styling sharp to the nines. Old gangsters catered to Lady Luck's dice and a 38 special in gunmetal blue. So I really hope that you look at Rose's work compiling over 30 pages of inmate writing and art. I believe our next introduction is from Zoom.
Stephanie here. Well, I'll go ahead and introduce our reading for the Red Wheelbarrow Poetry Prize. For 7 years now, Red Wheelbarrow has sponsored a national poetry prize judged by well-known American poets, including our very first year and now this year as well by the Santa Cruz poet Ellen Bass, whose most recent collection, Indigo, was published by Copper Canyon Press in 2020. Among her other poetry books are Like a Beggar, The Human Line, and Meals of Love. Among her many awards are fellowships from the Guggenheim Foundation and the Lambda Literary Award. She co-edited the first major anthology of women's poetry, No More Masks, 50 years ago, in January 1973. Happy anniversary to No More Masks. And her nonfiction books include the groundbreaking The Courage to Heal, a guide for women survivors of child sexual abuse, and Free Your Mind, the book for gay, lesbian, and bisexual youth. A Chancellor Emerita of the Academy of American Poets, Bass founded poetry workshops at Salinas State Valley State Prison and the Santa Cruz, California jails, and teaches in the MFA writing program at Pacific University. It's our pleasure to introduce Ellen tonight. So thank you for being our judge, Ellen, and for introducing our winners and finalists this evening.
Thank you so much. And thank you all who have shared your art and your poetry tonight. I'm deeply moved, and I can't wait to see this volume and read it all and have time to really be with the art in it. This is extraordinary so far. I was thinking about what to share, and there are two small poems, Ars Poeticas, by poems about poetry that I thought would be a wonderful way to start out. And this first is a very small poem called Ars Poetica by Araceli's Girmay. May the poems be the little snail's trail. Everywhere I go, every inch, quiet record of the foot's silver prayer. I lived once, thank you, it was here. And then this morning on Poem a Day, I don't know if some of you get Poem a Day in your inbox every day from the Academy of American Poets. If you don't, it's really quite wonderful. And at poets.org, you can sign up for it. There's an unpublished poem by Lucille Clifton that her daughter, Sydney Clifton, shared today. And Lucille Clifton said, I don't write out of what I know, I write out of what I wonder. Poetry and art are not about answers to me, they are about questions. And then Sydney Clifton said, my mother poemed out of wonder, why this or that, how so, and what if. She was accepting of answers that were both glorious and terrifying. Lucille wondered about all life, all lives, past, present, future, but most meticulously her own. And then she went on to say, this poem is Lucille's description of the soul deep covenant between poets and poetry. Poets in their bastinets dream a splendid woman holding over their baby eyes a globe, shining with possibility. Someone, she smiles, has to see this and report it. And they, in their innocence, believing that all will be as beautiful as she is, whimper, use me, and oh, how terrifying that she does. So the winning poems in this contest were all so compelling in very different ways that it was very, very hard to order them. I know people say that all the time, but I really mean it. I really wish I could have given all three first prize. But I do have the pleasure of presenting them to you tonight, starting with Benjamin S. Grossberg, who is the author of 2 chapbooks and 4 full-length poetry collections, Underwater Lengths in a Single Breath, Sweet Core Orchard, Space Traveler, and My Husband Would, all of which have won prestigious prizes. Grossberg taught for many years at Antioch College and is now Director of Creative Writing at the University of Hartford. And Ben, I was delighted to see your name when I was informed of the winners because I've been a fan of yours since first reading your poem Beetle Orgy 20 years ago in the Pushcart Prize anthology. And your poem, The Orchardist in February, is pitch perfect. It delivers an indelible image precisely. Thank you for reading for us tonight.
Thank you. It's very meaningful for me to hear you say that. Thank you guys so much for inviting me to be part of this. So apple trees are my first love. I like to think of this as a love poem. The Orchardist in February. Like an ink drawing in which the artist has left most of the page white, has sketched in only the stark lines of dormant trees, and here and there a cross-hatching of shadow to give the freshly snow-struck landscape contour, to give it depth. No bird landing, no squirrel perched, not a sound, but boot prints, a line of them approaching the trees and, like a lasso, encircling each.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Next, we'll hear from second prize winner, Kate Gray. Kate Gray's latest poetry collection, For Every Girl, New and Selected Poems, presents a chronicle of queer affirmation. Her first novel, Carry the Sky, stares at bullying without blinking. And her book of poems, Another Sunset We Survive, was a finalist for the Oregon Book Award. Her poem, Resurrection, has fresh and vivid detail, description, and imagery, as well as a wonderfully breezy narrative voice. Welcome.
Thank you so much. What an honor it is to be with all of these wonderful poets and artists. I'm just overwhelmed. Thank you. And I've been an Ellen Bass fangirl for, I don't know, 50 plus years. Resurrection. The year after my mother stripped off my father like a horsehair bra, her body loosened like spoiled pasta. He stole her bones. Until lunch every day, when three women who spoke with smoke sat at our kitchen table, and my mother laid place settings and cloth napkins, took whiskey sours into sour glasses, dished tuna salad on lettuce beds, and they groaned over the local zoning commission's latest atrocity, a stop sign, my God, in town. And the friends who left their husbands to fend for lunch rocked the kitchen chairs like dories on the open sea, patted their coiffures, pink plastic rollers cradled their heads in bed, and my mother gulped laughter like a bear standing in rapids when salmon leapt upstream, her lips quivering, teeth big. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And first prize goes to Amy Miller for her poem Color Guard. Amy Miller's Astronauts won the Chad Walsh Chapbook Prize from Belvoir Poetry Journal and was a finalist for the Oregon Book Award. And her full-length poetry collection, The Trouble with New England Girls, won the Lewis Award from Concrete Wolf Press. Color Guard is emotionally compelling and admirable in its craft. It sustains its form with originality all the way through. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you so much, Ellen. It's really a thrill to be here with all of you and with you, Ellen. Thank you so much for all your fantastic poetry that I have taught in my workshops and continue to teach in my workshops. So Color Guard is I want to mention that it's a sestina. It doesn't look like one on the page, but it is one. And so that's why you'll hear some repeated words. Color Guard. They must be in love, these two soldiers, stepping backward over flat tombstones, flush with the grass, their eyes on each other as they unfold the flag. Flag as laundry. The wash day dance my mother must have traced 1,000 times, her eyes signaling my father. 2 steps backward, grip, fold. The tombstones all bear names of sailors, soldiers, tripping up these 2 soldiers. One, the woman, flag gripped in her white-gloved hands, edges of tombstones catching on her small heels. Must she look at the man that way? The 2 of them have eyes, entirely, embarrassingly, eyes for each other. But they're soldiers' looks, trusting, knowing, a world hidden between them. 2 more twists, and the flag opens, while my father is closed in stone below. I must keep watching the flag. Concentration is a gift. The tombstones lie in its shade, mute, their tombstone names raised, brass bolted, all eyes on the wind billowing the stripes upward for a moment. They must be soldiers in love, these 2 striding toward each other, the flag their dwindling child, the 2 of them tugging its corners, making it 2 times smaller, 4 times, 8, while the tombstones finally flash in sun again, and the flag recedes to a strip, a square, a delta. Their eyes, I see now, are red, weary, these soldiers folding up after another war. They must get so tired of these flags. In 2 hands, the man offers it to my sister, eyes on hers. Tombstones couldn't hold emptiness better, as all soldiers must. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Now we're going to go to some more semifinalists and finalists. Catherine Anderson has published 4 full-length collections of poetry. Her latest work, My Brother Speaks in Dreams of Family, Beauty, and Belonging, is a memoir exploring how her life was touched by her brother, a man who, she says, had autistic traits and a unique way of speaking. Thank you, Catherine. Oh, you're muted, Catherine. Can you unmute?
Wouldn't you know? Thank you so much, Ellen, and thank you to everybody. This is such an honor. The poem I'm going to read is Spring. My black jeans off, I'm sitting in one of those white plastic chairs that cradles your hind end like a sugar scoop. My thighs covered by a piece of old brocade the tailor passed to me as he turned away with my chalk-marked skirt billowing gardenias, the one that cuffs the back of my calves, in a breeze that now lies resplendent on the ironing board under the tailor's hand as he pushes aside a pincushion the size of an orange and lifts one of 2 irons next to a pair of metal shears the moment I fear a water bottle will topple because a one-eyed calico cat, whose name I know to be Agnes, happens to walk between the water and the scissors just before the final press of the newly hemmed skirt of petals and stems, the one I anticipate skimming, not my calves, but a little shorter, to crest the top of the knees once the alteration is complete. This 2nd day of April, in the year of our Lord, 2022, when I look past the rose calendar, still showing the month of March, and the black and white photograph of the Shetland pony in a bowler hat, and wonder how long beauty will last in the world, not knowing the answer, but just thinking of my skirt, how soon I'll put it on and twirl a little for the final measure and wear it home instead of my jeans. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jamie L. Smith is the author of the chapbook Mythology Lessons, winner of the Tusculum Review's 2020 Nonfiction Prize. She's a PhD candidate in English Literature and Creative Writing at the University of Utah.
Alland, thank you so much. Your work has changed me so many times in so many ways, and it's such an honor. I'm so happy to be here and be a part of this with all of you. So this is some of what he told me. There will be terrible days, flat tire on your way to work days, train delays. It's not you, it's me, and we need to talk days. Days, another doctor says, the treatment isn't working as we hoped, and more nights spent waiting bedside, afraid if you get too absorbed in poetry or Bloomberg Business Review, you'll miss your friend's last eye flutter or inhale. One day you might take the wrong job for all the right reasons, leave the woman and the city you love behind. Or maybe you'll stay and wonder on nights after too much gin if that job would have been your salvation. Some years you'll buy black dress after black dress and have weekends when you'll leave one funeral early to get to another, and you'll keep those mass cards tucked with the rest in a desk drawer you can't open without replying whatever unkind thing you said that you didn't think would be the last thing you'd say to your friend. And you'll hate me some days. It's okay. For opting out of all of it. You'll hate me more for the 6 p.m.s I'll miss in winter when the last light brightens the floorboards below your window, and the snow is so new it seems impossibly white, and you'll want to touch it as much as you want to touch my face. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next finalist, Dayna Patterson, is a photographer, textile artist, editor, and poet. She's the author of 2 poetry collections, most recently, Oh Lady, Speak Again.
Hello. What a delight to be here. Thank you so much. Very honored, super honored to be here with you, Ellen, and with you all. This has been a beautiful evening. I'm excited to read this poem, which I realized I wrote about a year ago. I took my youngest kid with me to AWP. That was an experience. And then this poem came out of that. This is called Fluid. My 14-year-old asks me to stop introducing her as my daughter, asks instead for kid. Her short blue hair all hidden beneath the purple cap her grandma knitted, the cap she calls her soul. And if a soul can be a cap and a kid can be both daughter and son, fluidly moving hour to hour, day to day, from one to the other or in between. I wonder what else I've failed to imagine. And although I've been expecting this request for years, their ask stirs up all the swans that moments ago were quietly grazing in the field of my soul. And if my soul is a troubled flock of tundra swans, gyring up into sky the color of my kids' fading hair, where will they land? I'm the second daughter of a second daughter, and he, she, they are my second, no longer daughter or sometimes daughter, and sometimes a blue sky filled with sun, and sometimes weather I know better. Gray rain, a satin percussion, and stratus clouds, and fog curling up from the lake surface. Don't I know how words matter, how one word can shape a world, shake a womb? So I'll call her my cumulus, him my shifting river, them my curlicue of mist, my Capricorn, my sea goat, my fog bow, my snowball, my drizzly afternoon, my Virga, my bright iridescence. Land here. Love them in every form. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dayna. And finalist Shelly Stewart Cato writes near the Warrior River in Walker County, Alabama. She's passionate about genre bending and experimenting with forms, blurring lines between truth and imagination.
Thank you, Ellen Bass, for choosing my poem. And thank you, Ken, for typesetting until midnight, the last night before it went to print. Thank you so much. My poem is called I Would Also Miss Wind. There are 3 voices. The mother, a brief letter from the son, and then a factual voice offering facts about prisons. I would also miss wind. It was poetry, almost. Hey, Mama, how are you? I'm doing fine. Tell everyone I miss them. When I get out, I want to play with Chipper in the sun and fish for brim in the hill pond. eat your fried chicken. Private prisons have private pay restaurants serving fried catfish, mashed potatoes and gravy, and hamburgers. He missed last year's family beach trip, then this year's. We can't remember where he was, rehab or jail or rehab. Mama, it's so cold here. Some private prisons do not turn on the heat. At least one in Louisiana does not and is not monitored. I don't want to go dark here, but it's dark here. We had our first video chat this morning. $25 for 3 minutes. His head shaved. His skin windshield white. Raccoon-eyed. Bloating. Crying. Fighting. Private prisons offer texting and tablets and video chat. It comes at a cost. That's the point. All this comes at a cost. Some days I try and put myself in his place, think about what I would miss. A sunset, a rainbow, a robin, more. Thunderheads like low-flying saucers, a leaf spinning its face and stem toward light, a plane skywriting a proposal, spading my heel through sand to write, I love you forever. A wood thrush nest, blackberry-stained finger pads, brambles. No, be honest. The sheen of long black hair, my daughter's face when she spots 3 dolphins arcing white caps, telling someone, anyone you love, you have muffin crumbs on your bottom lip. Your eyes turn Patagonia blue in that shirt. Your tag, it's sticking out.
Oh, wait, what am I saying? Oh, this is what won the prize. Okay. So thank you to all of the Poetry Prize winners and finalists. My name is Evie Guzman. I am studying poetry at Dianza College this quarter, and I'm very pleased to be introducing Margaux Guiheneuc, a French tour guide living in Oaxaca, Mexico, who gives tours of Oaxaca art, handicrafts, hiking, and bird watching, and also works weekly with inmates on art projects through Gráfica Siqueiros at Cerezo Villa de Ella and Cerezo Femenil Tanivet in Oaxaca. So Margaux generously created a beautiful compilation of art and writing by Oaxacan inmates to include in this year's issue of the Red Wheelbarrow. And welcome, zooming in from Oaxaca, Margaux Guiheneuc.
Hi. Okay, hi. I think you can hear me. So hi from Oaxaca. I'm here in the name of 20 artists incarcerated in the jail of Etla near Oaxaca, where I've been visiting since now 2.5 years, supporting the artists of this beautiful studio. And though it's not my project, I didn't study the project. The project was started by Cesar Chavez and Jason Paul. And since a few years now, I am bringing their art out of the jail and trying to sell their prints. That's the technique they have been learning inside. And for the first time, we organized an exhibition with also texts written by the artists, the incarcerated artists. And thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ken, for visiting us, coming to my tour, and yeah, being so open to introduce the Mexican incarcerated artists to this beautiful magazine of poetry. So don't expect poetry in here. It's just an explanation of their art, an explanation of their thoughts, and yeah, let's go straight to the point and share about their beautiful texts. So I would like to go down a little bit, Ken, maybe to Oscar's print. It's on page 99, I think. Oscar is in charge of the studio inside the jail. And yes, exactly this one. So the theme of the exhibition was about facades. So they were free to represent a memory of a street or a current facade of the prison and Oaxaca's culture. Anyway, in this case, Oscar wrote beautifully that I was motivated by the wish of going out through this big door without anything detaining me. Here is the ability to go back to a different image, but different walls, different doors, different paths, a different life, and be free like the birds. Through my art, I am free in my thoughts, my soul, my wishes, imprisoned, but not completely. And I would like to stop here because I just talked to him a little bit earlier, and that's exactly what he wanted to share with you tonight. There, of course, no, I am representing them in this presentation, and what he wanted to say is that through this type of magazine and publication, they are free, they are out of prison for a moment, and through you reading it, now they are a little bit free and traveling, which is very, very important. So thank you again. Maybe if I have a little bit of time, I can read a second one by Angel Eric. The name of this print is Solar. It's on page 97. Exactly. Solar is a representation of what every prisoner wants, which is to one day be able to see the prison from outside, receding behind one's back. Facades are like us human. We have scars, history, and a lot to tell. Just stop for a moment to listen. I am motivated as an artist by the power of unity between people, that regardless our circumstances, we are all human beings. And to those who view this art, open a window to the opportunity to get to know each other and see that in each engraving dwells our humanity. So humanity is what connects us, and thank you for all the poetry, and it's such an honor for us all inside the jail and for me as well to be part of this. Thank you, Ken, for helping translating, and I'm very happy also to see poetry also inside the jail where you are as well, and it's going to be so inspiring for us all. Thank you very much.
And that sounds good. Thank you, Margaux. That was amazing. And thank you for your work and for sharing the prisoners' work, which was very moving. So my name is Cynthia White. I've been a screener for the Poetry Prize for probably since the beginning, I believe, of the Poetry Prize. So tonight it is my pleasure to introduce another one of our artists, Patricia Diart. I'll find out about her in 1 second. Patricia Diart has been a Bay Area multimedia artist since 2001. Her work has been shown in Germany, Cuba, and in San Francisco with the Lab, the SF Arts Commission Gallery, and New Langton Arts. Both the San Francisco Chronicle and the Minneapolis Star Tribune published articles about her performance piece, The Cape, in 2021. Patricia recently received a grant from the San Francisco Arts Commission to create a book about the work featured in Red Wheelbarrow. It's on pages 148 to 159. So thank you so much, Patricia, for sharing your work tonight. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Moira, for connecting me with Ken to be in this series. It's really an honor. So I think, Ken, will you be putting images up or not? I'm not sure. Oh, okay. I guess I'll begin to read what I wrote when George Floyd was murdered. It really made me, it was really hard to watch. And I made this cape from witnessing the murder of George Floyd. So I'll read this section here to talk about why. So the cape, it was initiated soon after seeing the video of George Floyd's murder in May 2020. My cloak is hand embroidered with a letter to my father, who was a violent white police officer in Baltimore. The cape tells of the domestic violence our family suffered while he was a cop. It is interwoven with context that converge with questions of power, bigotry and racism, gender violence, and child abuse. Who has dominance and authority has long been problematic in the history of America as it pertains to race, gender, and class. And these particular power dynamics continue to be felt by many still. My performances speak to how the secrets of a familial environment both form and reflect significant aspects of our social fabric. With a 12-foot cape, I traveled to 30 places in the United States, including police stations, city plazas. I inserted myself inside museums without any authorization, and civic protest. I committed to kneeling for 2 hours, and after each action, I wrote short essays about my experience. Allowing my cape to be seen in the public sphere gave others a chance to witness profoundly disturbing truths, and this in turn may have permitted them to question their own hidden histories within their own families or within neighborhoods. My viewers were moved by the art actions and expressed their compassion, anguish, hope, and fear to me. I was deeply touched by them, and with time, I also began to feel the weight of my own story change in ways I hadn't anticipated. Their resonance helped to dissolve much of my own burden and pain. I was very fortunate that a photographer named Chris Stewart happened upon me at my first kneel-in at Central Station in San Francisco. And he had been photographing the BLM movement around the country already for quite some time. And with his talent and keen eye, he documented over 15 of my art actions in California. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia, for your very powerful work and words and sharing that with us tonight. We have 7 poems to go to round out our evening, so a lot of great poems soon. I'm Oscar Ponce, a poetry student at De Anza, and our next reader tonight is George Lober, the author of two books of poetry, Shift of Light and A Bridge to There. His new and selected poems will appear this spring from the Hummingbird Press. He is a former winner of the Ruth Cable Memorial Prize for poetry and an emeritus senior lecturer at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. A warm welcome in Zoom for George Lober.
Dinner alone. 6 months after my mother died, my father stopped having dinner with his children, preferring instead the blank strip of kitchen wall between the cabinet and the doorway leading to the yard out back. Without explanation, he'd sit each night on the wooden chair beneath the wall phone, eating from a plate balanced on his lap or perched at the counter's edge, eyes focused on the 4 of us at the dining table 10 feet away, always with the expression of a man trapped between duty and loss, seeing clearly the span of our ages, calculating our respective weights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. I'm Gigi Scarpa, and I'm so pleased to be introducing former Santa Cruz poet laureate David Allen Sullivan to read a poem for you tonight. David's books include Strong-Armed Angels, Every Seed of the Pomegranate, a book of co-translation with Abbas Kadim from the Arabic of Iraqi Adnam al-Sayer, Bombs Have Not Breakfasted Yet, and Black Ice. He teaches at Cabrillo College, where he edits the Porter Gulch Review. Welcome, David Allen Sullivan.
Thanks so much. Amazing to hear the work and to see the images. Thank you all, and congratulations to all the students. I know all the work that you put in to do this. I'm going to cheat. I've got an epigraph, and instead of the epigraph, I'll just give you the whole poem because it's a tiny poem by Sylvia Plath that everyone should hear. Words. Axes after whose stroke the wood rings and the echoes, traveling off from the center like horses. The sap wells like tears, like the water striving to reestablish its mirror over the rock that drops and turns, a white skull eaten by weedy greens. Years later, I encountered them on the road, words dry and riderless, the indefatigable hoof taps, while from the bottom of the pool, fixed stars govern a life. Okay, I can't do that, but I took the phrase indefatigable hoof taps and wrote wild horse. Wild horse snorts to announce its presence. Flank waves ripple as I snag the mane, fist it tight and hoist myself aloft. I swing my leg over the muscled girth, press my face to hoarseness. It rears, gallops off, and I bend low, duck live oak branches, and as it vaults a stream, spine ridges up into me. But I hang on. I'm no centaur. We're not one creature. Mastering this isn't possible. I hold on for dear life, wait for it to tire, dismount when it drops its head to muzzle and tear the grass. Slap my hand against the vast hillock of its neck. Dirt clouds up around my already vanishing handprint.
this, Paul. There you go. Thank you to David. That was awesome. My name is Savannah Meléndez. I'm a poetry student here at De Anza. I actually got to pick, we got to look at some of these poems before, and one of the poems I chose to write about was Wild Horse by David, so that was really cool. Totally different meaning and way cooler to hear him say it. I'm going to introduce Sally Ashton, a writer, a teacher, and editor of DMQ Review, an online journal featuring poetry and art. Sally is an author of 5 books, and her 5th collection, Listening to Mars, was just released from Cornerstone Press. So Sally also served as a 2nd poet laureate for Santa Clara County from 2011 to 2013. So without further ado, please a warm welcome for Miss Sally Ashton.
Thank you so much, Savannah. Thank you so much, audience, for being here. And audience in the ether, I recognize in your little boxes a lot of faces that I know, and it's great to have you. And I just want to say, wherever the camera is, you got to get your hands on this. It's really a beautiful issue. I'm going to read a poem that I wrote right at the beginning of the pandemic. I taught Introduction to Creative Writing for about 10 years at San Jose State. And when you teach something over and over, you have these axioms that you say, or the shtick that you go through to get the kids on the same page as you. And it suddenly was teaching me something new. Fiction 101. Start at the moment when everything changes. If nothing changes, what's the story? The main character will be a most unlikely person. Desire drives the action. Show, don't tell, Chekhov admonished. Don't tell me the moon is shining. Show me the glint of light on broken glass. It's a hero's journey, the way full of unseen dangers, your hero unprepared. If she comes to a river, it will be muddy, wide, full of crocodiles. Make sure to show the glint of light on broken water, the crocodile's eyes unblinking. The story won't end. She wakes up. It was only a dream. If she drowns or crocodiles tear her apart, the story becomes tragedy. If she sits down, refusing to go on, it's tragedy of another sort. And she will wake up many times, sometimes after dreaming. The crocodiles are always there. Her only escape is to cross the river. She has no idea how. The story will get worse before it gets better. In the nick of time, help arrives. When this is all over, the world too will be changed. Don't tell me the moon is shining. I will see the broken glass. Show me, if you can, the glint of light. Thank you.
This is too much.
Thank you, Sally Ashton. I'm Michaela Aguilar-Zuniga, a poetry student from De Anza, and I'm happy to introduce you to our next reader, Patricia Aya Williams, who grew up in San Jose and now lives in San Diego with her husband Chris and their dog Binksy. Her work has earned a Red Wheelbarrow Poetry Prize, a Steve Cowett Poetry Prize honorable mention, and her poetry has also appeared in numerous journals throughout the West. Welcome, Patricia.
Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, everyone. Glad to be here. This poem I'm about to read, I wrote the beginning of it in a workshop with Grace Lee. She gave a wonderful workshop last year on moon poems, And so I'm very grateful to Grace for that opportunity and to be able to read you this poem tonight. Backyard Moon. Someone said, "Hey, look at that moon." So we stopped what we were doing to look at you, rolling over the canyon, rolling over the hills, rolling over our houses, our fences. Someone said, "Hey, let's eat." And we all, even the dog, watched you roll over our table, grab a plate, and fill it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. I'm Mia Perez, also a Dianza poetry student. And our next reader, Moira Magneson, has worked as a truck driver, television writer, river guide, editor, and community college instructor. She is the author of the poetry chapbook He Drank Because, published by Rattlesnake Press. Her first full-length collection of poems, In the Eye of the Elephant, will be published by 16 Rivers Press in 2025. A warm welcome to the poet Moira Magneson.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Ken. Hi, Zoomers out there. I'm so glad to be here. We just barely made it in time. The poem I'm going to read is called I and the Elephant, and it takes place in Chitwan, which is a low, some of it takes place in Chitwan, which is a low-lying jungle in Nepal. When I despair, which is often these days, for this fractious world so bent upon itself, I go back to that Sunday morning in Chitwan, wood smoke scenting November air. Alone and walking a footpath to the river, I come to a clearing where I spot a mahout and his elephant. Catching my stare, he beckons me to their side. Soon, I am feeding her banana leaves. She smells dusty and sweet. Her pink mottled ears, deckled-edged, ragged, flap. I pat her skin, its rough, warm comfort, then look into her eye, her right eye, so brown and deep and steeped in sorrow. Her gaze a transom to myself, my heart a pail holding the moon and stars. I am speaking the language of elephants. And then she lets down her trunk. Light-footed, I climb that great leather ladder, traverse the landscape of hide and shoulder until I'm straddling her, toes brushing her ears. We walk together, such magnificent, gentle steps. Hati hati merosati, and I am content, rocking, rocking just behind her domed forehead, dust rising from the ancient earth. Hati hati merosati, oh noble being, how beautiful to be cradled in the heart of the world. Oh elephant. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Moira. Made me want to ride an elephant. All right, our our penultimate reader tonight is Sam Kauffman. Sam Kauffman is an award-winning lyricist and poet who has spent over 20 years teaching writing in various literary genres, along with teaching junior high, leading workshops all over the U.S., presenting for the literary stage, CWC, and the San Mateo Library. Sam has also been an artist in residence at a school in New Mexico. Please welcome the multi-talented Sam Kauffman. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be a part of this amazing magazine. Thank you to Ken. Thank you to all of you who contributed your time and your energy and your talents to making this happen and making this evening happen. It is truly an honor to be among such wonderful writers, wonderful poets. And I'm going to hold this up because I left my purse at home and it has my glasses in it. So if I stumble for a minute, just give me a second to focus. This poem is called Kind of Blue. As a musician, one of my loves is jazz. And Miles Davis' iconic album, Kind of Blue, has been an inspiration to me in so many ways. And I wanted to try and do it justice through this poem. Slithering into a still hue of blues, haunting trumpets dart in and out like taxis, like horns in freeloading traffic, and cling like silk onto full-figured riffs when winsome modal tones wear sleek cobalt, where soul beats throb from smoky bars, blue in moods of so what, sway like humid lovers on rainy nights to the clink of ice in shot glasses, and after hours shades of whiskey, sweat, and old scotch. Smooth as muted cool, luxurious tracks of indigo, distilled intimacy, stretch without strict resolutions, improv exhales, unashamed sketches of empty bar stools and empty arms, as modes of blue undress into serendipity, when newborn sounds wrap limbs around old scores of stale melodic staves. Steady bass lines underscore mellow beats. Unperturbed, ruminating pulse. Slow percussive murmurs, like a rhythmic subway hues of all blues walking with mystic measures of ebb and neap attraction. A perpetual kiss slides slow into a kind of blue. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. That was great. Hello, everyone. My name is José Hintet, and I'm proud to introduce our final reader for this evening. Thomas Dunn, a multimedia artist, poet, and experimental filmmaker from Midland, Michigan. Thomas is currently completing his MFA in writing at the California College of the Arts in San Francisco. Welcome, Thomas. We look forward to hearing your work.
Hey, can everyone hear me? Sick. Hi to people in the Zoom world. So I drove down from San Francisco with my friend Sim. So usually I'm the person that's giving these introductions. So it's nice to be in the opposite position. If can y'all do a thing with me? Because I'm like really kind of nervous whenever I read. Can like we take like 3 seconds to breathe in together and the count of three, and breathe out. We're gonna do that thing. All right, everyone ready? 1, 2, 3, breathe in. And then we're gonna do out on 3. 1, 2, 3. We just do it one more time. All right, 1, 2, 3. In and out. 2, 3. All right, cool. I want to say to Grace Lee, I see you. I see you in this tiny corner right there. We met, and I want to thank them so much for letting me be a part of this, reaching out to me to submit. I'm going to read a poem. It's called A Morning Walk, because it's Valentine's Day tomorrow. And my friend passed in 2018, and I love them and I miss them. So this is for my friend Al. So, thinking about you on the way up. At first, assuming I see you, but it's someone else while climbing Potrero, passing white blossoms, magnolias and pink flowers, all in the eye of the morning calm. Want to call you, but it's 6, and you wake up at 7, 8. So having an hour or two to myself, I sit on a bench watching ships roll in from the bay, bridge glistening its light on the water, sun tiger striping the waves. Orange and dark grays mirroring stratus off the hills. I'm thinking a lot about Frank. How he says we can choose to call someone on the phone or write a poem. But when wasn't a phone call a poem? Rain check for anything. I'll explode if I don't find a way to say right now. Thank you.
That's the reading, and my only message is thank you. And the book is there, and I really sort of love this book, and I hope you walk out with one and maybe get one for a friend or something like that. And the broadside is also there at a reasonable price, and it's the broadside that won the competition with Amy Miller's poem about the flag folding and presentation, done by Gary Young, the extremely talented letterpress printer. So everyone is hand cranked through a printing press and hand set. And they're over there on the table with Daryl. So those are the things I wanted to say. And again, you don't know how much they do. I don't know why they do it, but I love them.
All right, thanks for coming out to Works. I just want to say a couple of words to those of you like Rob here who are members of Work San Jose and who contribute to what we do. I see some others in the audience too who have done that. And the wonderful thing about our home here in Open San Jose is we have a 5-year with another 5 years coming lease on our gallery space, but that means that we get to lease these spaces for like a few hours, and so that keeps our cost really low. Our partners here tonight who worked with me about 3 hours before this, like making sure that the mic actually was going out onto Zoom and that sort of thing, because we hadn't actually done that before. This is our first amplified and on Zoom meeting in this room, because before people just had to talk really loud to do their poems in person. And I thank those of you, I know several of you who have done exactly that. And there's Enrique right there at the back at the back door right there, who's with Create TV, and they're one of our partners here. And we lease these spaces literally kind of by the hour. So it only costs us a couple $100 to do this. For the leasing part, our hosting, which we are like thrilled to do with Poetry Center San Jose of Well Read, costs us about $4,000 a year. We are the area's smallest arts nonprofit, Work San Jose. We're all volunteer. We have no paid staff. Amy, who's out in the gallery, is my vice president and here with us tonight as well. So I just really want to thank everybody who's pitched in, a little bit, and come see us. Come figure out what we need. Poetry Center San Jose, I'm sure, has the exact same costs as us. We do the facilities. They do the poets basically, and we do the curator and that here from Work. So thanks a lot for those of you who chip in. If you want to chip in a little bit more, just go to our website and there's ways to do that. Find out about the visual art stuff that we do. That's like our main thing, but this is like a huge thing for us, doing this and also Flash Fiction Forum and other performance things that we do. So there's a little thing over there. There's like a bucket where you can put in $1 or whatever, or go to the website and join Works. For sure, join Poetry Center San Jose. I'm going to give to you, Rob, for the salutation for the evening. Thanks so much.
Thank you. So you can put your pounds, your marks, your euros in there. Thank you. A big welcome and thank you to Daryl Dela Cruz, Stephanie Stein, and then Grace Lee and Cynthia White. Where are you, Cynthia? Raise your hand. There she is. Daryl's in the back over there. And Stephanie in Zoom and Grace. We couldn't have done this without their it's a fantastic commitment to reading every poem and deliberating and coming together to talk about it. And thank you all for joining and participating tonight. Food, books, broadsides, love, hugs, whatever, do it, okay? Enjoy. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Works. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much to Ken, too, for putting together a great program and keeping it totally. I know he whooped some of you guys, but keeping it totally on time is really a great head and money saver for us. So thanks for hanging in there. Hang out a bit, have some stuff, get books. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody online. Oh my God, what a night. That was great. We had, at the height of tonight, we broke 100 attendees between here and online. Just in case you didn't see the numbers up there, we went just over 100 tonight. So cool.
Hi, Zoomers. Hi, Zoomers. Bye, Zoomers. Love you all.